Today we have Jackie Faber. Hey, Jackie, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Doing well.
Awesome. I'm so excited to be here.
And we are excited to have you.
Amazing.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am right now, I am an online coach. Like I do identity work actually is where I'm at right now. So I help people identify sort of like the structures that keep them stuck in loops of self-abandonment. And what is so funny is that I actually came across Nacho Kids like 5, 6 years ago because I was in a relation. I was blending. I was in a relationship, and I was having all of these emotions and experiences, and I couldn't figure out what the hell I was feeling. And then I joined one blended family group, and it wasn't quite resonating with me. And then somebody else in that group said, think about Nacho Kids. And so I looked it up, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, this is right up my alley. And the reason I'm bringing it all up is because it was through Nacho Kids that I recognized where I was living in self-abandonment. And so it's so interesting that it's kind of like come full circle now, and I'm helping people recognize their own self-abandonment patterns. All of the ways in which we unconsciously abandon ourselves in order to please other people. And so I see that a lot, like especially in the threads of your Facebook posts, for example. Like people are constantly feeling guilt and obligation and all of these things that they have to, kind of like pick and choose between themselves and their partner, right?
Right.
Or the kids, or whatever the situation is.
Well, right before you came on, David and I recorded a podcast, and it was about losing yourself in the blend. So that just
Yeah.
goes right on with this.
Absolutely it does. And I think it happens a lot more for women than for men. But I think because women are conditioned into being the caregiver and to socially, that's what we're taught to do. And so
Right.
and when you come from, for one, failed marriage, because we all do, otherwise we wouldn't be blending, right? We come from one failed marriage. We try to, I know for myself, I'll speak for myself, I was like, oh, this is a do-over. Oh, I get a chance to do a do-over, right?
Yeah, you're going to do everything right this time.
Yes. And then you want to step into that, motherly role. And then you recognize eventually that doesn't always work the way that you thought it would. And that was driving a lot for me. That was driving a lot of it was guilt, a lot of guilt. And from the first marriage dissolving and trying to reconcile that in the second marriage.
So in your second marriage, did you bring kids into the relationship?
I did. I brought one. Yeah. And
then,
he had two.
Okay. So you both brought kids into it.
We did. Yep. And so the struggle that I was having was, the pressure to do things for his children, but there was like a double standard where, he wanted me to parent, or he wanted to parent my child, but he didn't want me to parent his children, right? And so there's this constant double standard. And
but he wanted you to care for his kids,
he wanted me to care for do everything for them, make their lunches, do all of the things. But whenever discipline, came, and I was of the stance that I didn't even want to discipline his children. I didn't think that was my place. And so that was the struggle too, is that he would try to step in and discipline mine. And I'd be like, wait a minute, I can handle this. I've got this. You deal with yours. I'll deal with mine. And we'll go from there. But no, there was this constant double standard of expectations for me to do for his children that he wasn't even doing for his own children. Right. And I think that's something that I recognize too through Nacho Kids and all of this, learning about all of that and joining all of your resources was a lot of the times I think we actually have a partner problem, not necessarily a parenting problem, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it helps you when you realize, where is the problem really? Is it the kids, or is it that their parent lets them do all this crap? because the kids are only doing what they're allowed to do, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And just because you have a partner problem doesn't mean you just give up.
No, 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 no. But but it's about being able to locate exactly where it is, because I see a lot of people, getting upset with the children because the children don't listen.
Right.
But the children only don't listen because they don't have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
so it's putting the responsibility where the responsibility actually lives.
Right. Because otherwise you have responsibility without authority.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So are you still blended?
No. Oh God, no. No. No, that relationship ended. When I recognized that, and through a lot of the double standards, I recognized the expectations and the double standards. I recognized there was a lot of misogyny hidden in there as well. And so, and again, that ties back to a partner problem. And so once I saw that, and I saw, there's a lot of, I feel like in these situations, there's a lot of emotional manipulation. Like, if you loved me, you would, or if you should love my children as your own. And a lot of people like cling to these things, but what they actually are is emotional manipulation. And so, and so until somebody can actually recognize that that's what they're doing, and a lot of it is unconscious. I understand it's, rooted in guilty parenting and all of the things.
Right.
But until you recognize that that's what is happening, you can't really move forward, because it's just going to be like me against you, instead of coming together to see that we are actually each responsible for ourselves and what we bring into the dynamic. And so, like, in my specific situation, he couldn't recognize that he was doing all of those things, that he wasn't able, didn't have the capacity to show up any differently. And so then I had no choice but to end the relationship. And I'm so much more happy that I did.
So how long were you together?
We were together for 4 years. We were never married. I know we said earlier husband, but no, we were never married. But I did actually date somebody else after, and did the whole blending thing again, this time with like fresh new eyes and a new perspective. And so it did end up going a lot better. I mean, that relationship ended as well, but it ended up going a lot better. I think we don't go into these things knowing what we're doing.
Right.
And that's like the biggest problem that I see.
Well, and it amazes me, and you had a great point, that your ex wanted you to do things, or expected you to do things for his kids that he wasn't even doing.
Exactly. That he wasn't even doing for his own children. Yep.
Right. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. But I also feel like it's common, because I see it so many times, like in your Facebook group. I see it so many times.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think women too need to acknowledge that, our nurturing and our caregiving and all of that stuff, it can be over functioning, right? And so unless you hone in that over functioning, like, of course a man's going to be like, oh, you want to do all of these things for me? You want to take all of this off my plate? Absolutely. Please do. Right. Mm-hmm. And
David's over here shaking his head. Yes.
And when you're in the beginning of a relationship, there's like this subconscious need to like prove my value.
Oh, we just talked about this.
I'm a wife material. Let me, love your kids as my own. But then by doing that, we end up building a lot of resentment.
Yeah. Well, it's like a new job.
Yeah.
You're trying to prove yourself. You want to be the best employee you can. You want to be helpful to the boss, not saying that your partner's your boss. But then all of a sudden you're working 18 hours a day and nobody gives a crap.
Yeah. And I think it unconsciously creates a hierarchy that we're not even recognizing is happening, right?
Yes.
And then within that hierarchy, that's where we start to see all of the power struggles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how old were your stepkids, or how old are they now?
When we blended, they were 1 and 4.
Oh, they were babies.
They were young. Yeah.
Because I was going to ask you if you still had contact with them, but obviously that's probably a no.
I not through him, through their mother. I have seen them. I have seen them a few times through their mother, and like, because our kids all, 4 years at that young age, like that was their normal, right? For them. And so, there was definitely a period of time where we allowed the children to still see each other and slowly like blended apart, unblend, slowly
Yeah.
unblend
Yeah.
after the dissolution of our relationship. But
So how old was your daughter at the time?
she was 4,
Okay.
so they were all around the same age.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
when you were with him, did you and bio mom get along?
No, I had no contact with biomom, and I understand why. I had no
Because he
contact.
didn't want her telling you the truth.
Exactly, exactly. Yep, yeah. So I mean, if I would just say that if they don't want you to be in contact with biomom, that's usually something to pay attention to.
Yeah. Because most of
Yeah,
the time they'd rather you deal with the
yeah,
ex.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that was definitely a lesson to learn.
So you said you dated somebody else that was in a blend or a step family. Do you have any hesitations about getting with somebody that's in a step family or that has kids of their own? Or would you rather be with somebody that doesn't have kids at all?
I have no issue. Like I would probably, actually, to be honest, I probably wouldn't blend again. I would probably wait until my children were older, or like I wouldn't move in. I would like live apart separately. Like if they
Hmm.
had young kids and I have mine, I would probably live apart separate. There's no reason to do all of that. Like why do all of that again? Like I don't know. I think, well, I'll speak for myself. The biggest motivator behind marriage and relationships, I think, is like it's socially imposed. Like this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to get married and have kids. And then I think that like fuels a lot of the guilt that we feel when our marriage falls apart, and that's why we pursue another relationship. And I'm not saying relationships aren't important. They
Right.
absolutely are. But I think what is most important is making sure values are there, like the values are aligning. And we don't need, from my experience and my perspective, we don't need to like rush in. I see so many people like, we've only been together for a year and we're gonna move in together, and I'm like, oh my god, don't do it. Don't do it. Like stay apart longer. There's no rush. It's society that wants us to rush into all of that. So
Yeah, we see it a lot where it's not
yeah,
even 6 months.
yeah, it's
And yeah, then and you're combining families.
yeah, yeah.
Now, I
Well,
don't know, maybe if it was the beginning of the relationship, the living apart together kind of thing or whatever, but I do see benefits in being married and combining those.
yeah,
For example, my son, if
hmm,
David and I lived apart, then he wouldn't have the relationships that he does now with his stepbrothers.
yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And I don't think that I would have the relationships with David's kids now
Hmm.
if we would have lived apart.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we wouldn't have went through the crap we went through, but I think that made us all stronger too.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's a case by case basis, right?
Hmm.
I think like I'm not saying don't ever blend.
Right,
I'm saying take your time and make
right,
sure that all the values are aligned, and that the parenting is like parenting from my perspective is a huge thing. Like we see so many gentle parents with authoritarian parents.
hmm,
Like, and you're at the root of both are certain value systems, right? And
right,
so if those value systems are not aligned, you're going to be butting heads.
right. Yeah,
And
because if you introduce an hours child,
yeah,
then that's
yeah,
going to be even crazier.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because then there's different parenting for each child, and
right.
it's confusing for them. It's
Where,
confusing for them. I
yeah,
mean, I remember many conversations with my child where she was like, well, why do they get to do that and I don't? Because
and,
I'm not their parent
yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
shaping you.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
know it's unfair. I know it feels unfair, and it absolutely is. But there's nothing that we can do about that.
You just have to say, because I'm not their parent, any
Yep.
different than if it was the neighbor's kid doing these
Yep.
things. You don't have any control over that.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not fair, but the kids are learning it sooner rather than later that life's just not fair.
Yeah, it just, from my perspective, it just makes so much more sense to be with somebody who parents the same, that has the
Yes.
same values, because then, the children aren't seeing that mismatch.
Right. Oh, I agree. I will also say that before David and I got married, we took this 100 question test
Yeah.
thing, and we had one answer that was different.
Oh, fascinating.
But that was for a nuclear family.
Oh, interesting.
So if we would have had a nuclear family, we'd have been Johnny on the spot, right there
Yeah.
together with everything. But like you mentioned, with being a step family, you've got guilty parent syndrome.
Yeah.
So that affected how I parented and how he parented. Whereas
Yep.
if it would have been an ours kid, it would have been completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, guilty parenting syndrome is it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
And it's real.
It
And
is.
it's not, a lot of people will say, well, that's just crazy. You're not going to lose your kid because they don't want to come there. No, you can.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a reality that a lot of people face.
Yep. Yep. I see it so many like that. I know so many people that are divorced, and and even just being divorced, right?
Hmm.
There's so many people that will just pit their kids against the other parent, and it's so sad. It is so sad that
Hmm.
that happens, but it is a reality.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of stuff with parental alienation, it seems, the last year or so. I've kind of gotten into that a little bit more. And it's heartbreaking. And especially to be in these Facebook groups and somebody will post, we lost another one. And they're not saying that person lost their kids, they're saying that person took their life.
There's so much research on it,
Hmm.
right? There's so much research to support all of that.
Hmm.
That especially, like, don't say anything negative about the other parent. Period. Like,
Hmm.
no, you can't do that. It just influences children in a way that, and the reality is they will figure it out. Like, they
Right.
figure it out eventually,
Yep, they will.
and then they will be mad at you
Hmm.
for influencing it in a way, right?
Yeah, yeah, because you contributed to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I just see so many people getting stuck in their egos and stuck in, what I think is right and what I want, and they're not able to move past that. And so then that's when all of these situations unfold.
Yeah,
They're not actually putting the best interests of the children first. They're putting their egos first.
right, right.
Yeah.
And so many times in court, that's what happens.
Yep.
And so you're letting somebody that doesn't know you or your kids make a decision for your kids because you can't work it out, with
Yeah.
your ex.
Yeah. Well, because you can't put your resentment down.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to love your kid more than you hate your ex.
Exactly. Yes. I
Yeah.
think that's hard for a lot of people to do.
It is. It is. Now, what would you say was your hardest thing with your ex? Other than the fact that the differences you saw in how he expected you to do things for his kids that he wasn't even doing. And the fact he wanted to parent your kid.
Um, Well, the hardest thing I think is specifically in our blend was that my daughter was with us full time,
Hmm.
but his kids were, on a schedule, on an access schedule. And so then that caused a lot of, I think, resentment with the children, right? Like, especially to my child, like, you
Yeah.
get to see my dad all the time and I don't get to see my dad, right? Like, there was a lot of that. It was difficult. That
And
was
your
difficult.
partner
Yeah.
is resentful. Your kid's always here.
Yeah.
Mine
Yeah.
aren't.
Yeah.
So
Well,
he's
and okay, so adding to that was, like, I felt like our life was always put on hold until his children came.
hmm
So we never did family things together, the three of us, because, well, my children aren't here, and I want to do that with them. And again, my child had just me. Her father wasn't in her life, and so my child had one Christmas, and
hmm
they had two Christmases, and
hmm
they had two Santas, and they had two Easter bunnies, and
and
all
two
of the
vacations
and
and
two vacations. Yeah, and so it was really difficult for me to be able to, move her through that, because she sees it. And they come and they talk about what they did at mom's and the vacations and what they went on and all of these things. And they see that the difference and how it doesn't feel balanced. And from a child's perspective, it's not balanced. It's not fair. Right.
Right. And even if you got your child something special, like for Easter, because these other kids got 2 Easters, right?
Yeah.
So you got your child a special Easter basket.
Yeah.
Those kids are not going to understand that.
No.
They're going to be like, well, I don't care what I got at mom's.
Yeah.
At dad's, I got the $10 Easter basket, but she got a $50 Easter basket.
Yep.
They don't see it.
They don't see it. And, if I do, there would be times where I would like spoil her because she doesn't get as much. And then he would be like, well, how come you're not getting that for my kids? Because they're not mine. They're yours. Right. If you want to get it for them, you do it.
I remember one time we were talking about how things had to be fair. And it's like, okay, well, my daughter, I went and bought her tampons. Let me buy your son some tampons too, just so he feels included.
Right? It's petty. It can turn petty. It can turn like transactional.
Yes.
You do this, I do that. And that is not what building healthy, loving relationship. You cannot build healthy, loving relationships from a transactional perspective. But if we're constantly like tracking what everybody is getting, that's like we're teaching our children to do the same thing.
Right.
And they're not gonna find healthy, loving relationships by doing that either.
Right. I know my son, his dad is in his life, but his dad's he's not one to go buy a bunch of stuff for him for Christmas or his birthday, or so I think I've always kind of compensated for that. And I don't know that I compensated for it so much that David's kids noticed.
Right.
But there were times that I would get something for Jackson. I would wait for David's kids to go to their moms, and then I would give it to Jackson.
Yeah. Yep.
And I didn't know, but as soon as they came back, Jackson's like, look what my mommy got me.
Yeah.
And so, they're like, well, it didn't matter that you gave it to him when we weren't there.
Yeah.
He got something we didn't.
Yep.
It didn't matter if they were in Disney for 2 weeks with their mom. If I bought him a $5 toy, I didn't buy them one.
Yeah. Kids don't understand it. That's why they need the parent to be able to like walk them through those moments and share we'll validate the feelings. Yeah, that feels unfair. That feels very unfair. But, let's also consider all of these other children they don't have this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And we have to talk to them about it. I mean,
yeah. But that requires you as the parent to be really like grounded in your own value system, so that, you don't get swayed by the guilt, and you don't get swayed but whether that's the guilt from your child, the guilt from their kids, the guilt from your partner. Like, I think guilt is such a huge one. Guilt and obligation are so huge in these dynamics that having your own boundaries in place around what you decide you are responsible for is really the only thing that is going to keep you sane in these situations.
Yeah, but like if I bought Jackson something and David made me feel guilty for not getting his kid something, the next time I go to get Jackson something, I'm going to be resentful that I have to buy 4 more of them.
Yep.
Yeah. Especially if your finances aren't together. That causes a whole other dynamic.
Yeah, so we didn't have finances together. But then there was expectations for me to buy for his children, even though he wasn't, right?
Yeah. Well, even if you don't have finances together, the whole grocery thing can just go crazy.
Yeah.
It's, well, I've got my kids, 8 days out of the month. You've got your kid 30 days out of the month. So you should buy, pay this much toward the groceries.
And again, like the fact that I think these things even need to be discussed, like the fact that these things are being tracked and traced and all of that, from my perspective, is an indicator that the relationship isn't healthy. Like, we shouldn't be needing to do that. It should just be like, we're in this together, right? And if you have to track, well, my child is here 30% of the time and your children, like, There is something wrong within the value systems and the structure and the foundation of the relationship, of the relation, not the blend, not any of those things.
Right.
The relationship, there is something wrong there that is even being considered.
Right. And if you say you make 50% less than your partner, and you buy the groceries, that's your responsibility. Just say that's just how y'all agreed. You buy the groceries. And say in the beginning he had his kids every other weekend, then now he has them every other week. It would be easy for you to say, I'm spending $400 more a month on groceries, whereas that could be a conversation of, hey, since things have changed,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm having to fork out a little bit more money. I need your help with groceries now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But if you approach it with, your kids are here more and I'm not
Yeah.
paying these groceries and that's
Yeah.
not fair. It just, like you said, it gets nitpicky of, okay, well, wait a minute. Your kid took a 15-minute shower. Mine took a 17-minute shower.
I know.
I mean, it really,
No,
it can get crazy.
I've seen them. I've seen those posts. It's crazy. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I mean, again, at the end of the day, your relationship should be healthy enough where you can have those types of conversations without resentment. And the only reason we have resentment is because we're crossing our own boundaries, because we're allowing things to happen that go against our value system. Resentment is an indicator that I am doing something wrong, not that other people are doing something wrong, right?
Right. Yeah. And also having a good relationship with your partner, it's important that they have a good relationship with their kids, so their kids could come to them and say, hey, when we come back, Jackson's got a new toy. And we kind of feel like that's not fair. And so that can be a conversation they have with their parent. And then you discuss it as the adults in the home of what's the best way to handle this.
Yeah. Yeah, like communication is key. But when, you've got the guilty parent, when you've got the ego running the show, that's what gets in the way and breaks down all of the communication.
And I don't know that most of us, I don't know that we were properly taught how to communicate.
No. Oh God, no. Especially when there's emotions, we're typically taught to like push all of our emotions away or figure them out or distract ourselves. And so like when your partner is bringing something to you, it feels like whether sometimes it doesn't matter how they frame it.
Right.
It could feel like an attack of some kind if it's triggering something within you that you haven't resolved, like guilty parenting.
Right. Or like David will say something, like if he's looking for something, he's like, oh, this is all just a mess. I automatically feel like he's complaining that I didn't do something right.
Yeah.
And I've realized that comes from my mom being very critical of us as children.
Yeah.
So that's where that comes back, because I'm like, why do I get worried that he can't find something? And why do I feel like that's my fault?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a very good example of why, like, if people are not in therapy, they need to be in therapy to recognize that actually every single problem, every single reaction you have is not about the person in front of you. It's about something within inside of you that is unresolved.
Your history.
Yep.
And you may not even know where it comes from.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know one time David was doing something and I said, here, let me help you. And this look came across his face. And I'm like, ooh. Well,
he did not like that.
After we talked about it, apparently when he would try to do something when he was younger, his dad would just push him out of the way and take over.
Right. Yeah.
So that's kind of what he felt like I was doing.
Yeah.
So now it's, would you like for me to help you? Do you need help?
Or when you need help, you can ask me, right?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Literally give people responsibility for themselves, to them. Like, give people responsibility, their own, we like, again, and it comes down to over functioning and being useful. Like, we like insert ourselves into other people's spaces and their emotions and managing their emotions and managing things, like, and we do that to try to maintain connection and safety and all of those things. But a lot of those things are over functioning and people pleasing and self-abandonment and cause you more stress than if you were to just say, they're an adult. They can manage themselves. I need to trust that they can manage themselves, and if there's a problem, they will bring it to me and I will then deal with it then. But to jump in there and try to mind read and try to fix and to try to do all of those things is such a waste of energy.
Yeah. In that podcast we just did, we were talking about asking for help.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm standing at a door with my arms full of groceries and David can see me standing there, I automatically think, all right,
Why?
douche, you going to help me out? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas he may be looking at me, but not really paying attention. He may be
Yeah.
thinking about something else. And I can get mad about it,
Yeah.
or I can go,
Or
hey, can you help me
and just
out?
ask. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes things, and I think that's another valid point is like we all have our own history and our own, our own patterns and our own perspectives and our own worldview. And to expect other people to show up the exact same way that you would is unrealistic. It's so
Yeah.
unrealistic.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's why it's so hard for us to understand when people don't do things that we would.
Yeah.
You know, you see somebody drop something in the parking lot, for example, and five people walk by, and you're like, why are they not picking that up for that person? But some people, that's just not who they are, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it doesn't make them bad. Like, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what they're thinking. Maybe they have like a dying grandmother or something and
Right.
they're just focused on, whatever is going on in their life, right? We can't it's really difficult to step outside of yourself and see somebody else's perspective because it
Yes.
requires you to really place down all of your own stuff, your own beliefs, your own values, your own trauma, your own worldview, and try to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and understand what they're going through. It's really difficult
Yeah.
for a lot of people to do.
Yeah. It's easy to say, well, the McDonald's worker didn't even say thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know. Their kid might be at the doctor right now and just found out they had strep throat and they don't know what they're going to do about work the next day. I mean, we're
Yeah.
all going through something, right?
Well, and I always say, for me, I always say, like, why do I need them to say thank you?
Right.
What part of me needs them to say thank you?
Because I gave them my money. And I'm the reason they got a job.
Right?
I said thank you. They can say thank you. Just go to Chick-fil-A. It's all taken care of.
Yeah. We'll just skip McDonald's altogether.
Yeah. But again, we do have those expectations, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And they came from somewhere.
Yeah.
And I was raised, you say, somebody says thank you, you say you're welcome. So I guess when I go through the drive-through and they hand me something and I say thank you and they don't say you're welcome or they don't say thank you, whatever, it's like somewhere rooted inside of me, it's like that's wrong. What
Yeah,
they're doing is
absolutely.
wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I call this shadow work. That's shadow work. It's all this stuff. It's all the judgments that you make about yourself. I have to say, you learned, I have to say, thank you, you're welcome, in order to be a good person. And if I
Right.
don't do that, then I'm not a good person. And so when somebody doesn't do it to you, you're like, it's a judgment about whether or not they're a good person.
Yeah, they've got bad manners.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's another thing is I think that our expectations in a step family or blended family are so off course because they are the nuclear family expectations.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I can't tell you the number of conversations where it was like, you don't love my children as much as you love your own. Of course I don't.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that I don't care about them and I'm not
Right.
going to, step in and help when I can, when I choose, when I have the capacity, when I want to. But to expect me to is really wild. There's entitlements behind that, I think,
Yeah.
that a lot of people don't recognize.
Yeah. I tell you, those expectations, they'll get you every time. And like you said, it's not that you don't care about the kids. It's just they're not your kids, right?
Yeah. You're not going to have the same emotional reaction to them.
Right. I know we had even asked our kids one time. David said, how would y'all feel if I loved Jackson the same way I loved y'all? And they were like, no.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
You're our dad.
Yeah.
And so I asked Jackson, and he's like, well, that makes no sense because you grew me in your stomach.
Yeah.
I'm part of you. How could you love them the same way you love me?
Yeah.
So kids get it,
Yeah.
but the adults can't.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a different kind of, there's many different kinds of love.
Right.
Like many different kinds. I'm not going to have the same type of love for my partner as I do for my child. Like it's
Right.
different.
And I love my
So,
mom different than I loved my dad.
yeah. Yeah.
And it's not that
Absolutely.
either was wrong, it's just different.
It's the black and white all or nothing mindset from my
Hmm.
perspective is the demise of everything.
Yep.
Right?
Hmm.
So
That negative thinking.
when you can recognize that you're operating from that place, then there's a lot of faulty thinking in there somewhere that it's good to get in there and figure it out.
Yeah, you have to dig deep
Yeah.
because it's not about the
It's
macaroni and cheese
not.
that you have to get from the grocery store. It's a lot more than that.
It never is. It's something way back in your childhood where your parents made you feel a certain way that you're bringing into your relationship right
Hmm.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, or your past relationship, like you said,
Yeah.
being married before.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people go into the second family and they're like, I'm not getting divorced again because I'll feel like a failure
Yeah.
and all this stuff. When in reality, they did nothing to change how this second one's going to be any different than the first one.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, if you're and until you do that sort of work to change, like to recognize how you're showing up and the way in which you show up influences the experience that you're having with the people around you. You're going to
Mhm.
repeat the same patterns over and over.
Right,
We're creatures of habit. Unless
right,
we're getting down to the root and tackling the root of all of these things, we're going to repeat the same. And I'm speaking from experience.
right.
I've had a marriage, I had a blended after that, and I had a blended after that. So like I'm speaking from experience where unless you're really like doing the work to unpack your own stuff,
Hmm.
you're going to run into the same problem in every single relationship.
Yep. And I guess too, I want to go back to the living apart together thing or whatever it's called.
Hmm.
That adds its own challenges because
Hmm.
you have two homes to take care of
Hmm.
financially and physically.
Yeah.
We can't hang out on the weekends if I'm cutting grass at my house and you're cutting grass at your house.
Yeah.
And I think the living apart together, it doesn't allow you to work through some problems.
Hmm.
Because if you just automatically go, okay, we're going to live apart until the kids are 18,
Yeah.
and then we'll move in together. Well, you're still going to have the kids coming at Christmas. You're still going to have the grandkids in the future. You're still going to have this separation of families that you have to deal with.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Um, I feel like at some point, like if you're living apart, you're gonna like the challenges are still there. Like there's still and so you're still gonna be needing to show up with proper conflict resolution and
Hmm.
all of those things and communication and all of those things. Um,
It's just
but I
not in
mean,
your face as
it's
much.
just, yeah, yeah. Well, and when children are grown up and moved on and they have their own families, it's less of your responsibility, to be honest. Like they're adults now. They get to decide what they do. But yeah,
Yeah.
I know I understand it's not for everybody.
Hey, it works for a lot of people. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand why it works because you're taking away all the stress.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the reality is if you weren't together, you'd be having two homes anyways, right?
Right. Yeah.
So there really should it really like one of the worst decisions I ever made was to move in with somebody because it was going to be financially easier. Like that should never be the reason to move in with somebody ever.
I think a lot of people do that.
They do. Well, and I don't blame them when you look at the economy and everything and
Yeah.
how expensive it is to run a home, but
And you're like, well, we're spending the night here one night, my house the next, and we're both paying $3,000 a month in mortgage or rent. Why don't we
yeah.
just combine everything?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? If after 4 or 5 years, sure. But, I see that's not what I see. I see so many people after, 1 year making plans to move in. I'm like, oh God, it's wait. You're not even through the honeymoon phase yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And people need to understand too that even if you move in, say you wait 2 years to move in, then if you get married in 3 years, you're still going to have a reset of the dynamics in the house.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't guarantee that things are going to be great.
Yeah.
You're still going to have challenges because for whatever reason, once you get married, something changes.
Yeah.
The
I wouldn't
kids
know.
see it.
I didn't have that experience because we never got married, but absolutely. I mean, it makes sense. Like it makes it more final for children, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it just adds another layer on top of all of the other things that they're moving through. So it makes
So
sense.
the second blend that you were in, did y'all live together too?
No, no, no,
No.
no, no.
So you don't want to live with anybody again until your daughter's out the house.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think I do. I think I'm fine. Like, just like I have such a full life as it is that I don't necessarily feel the need to bring somebody in and have a relationship. Like, my life. So, unless if I'm meeting somebody, if I'm going to be dating somebody, they need to have a full life too. Like, they need to have passions and interests and things. I see a lot of people just sort of like enmesh in each other and they don't have, and so then their relationships, their family becomes their everything and they completely lose their sense of identity.
Yep. Which is,
So
again, what we just talked about with that
yeah,
other podcast. And
yeah,
it's easy to do.
it is, and especially when we're taught that marriage and relationships and families and all of those things are our purpose of being human, right? The
Right.
reason that we're here on this planet is to create the family, the perfect family. And that ends up driving a lot of people's behavior subconsciously. And so then they don't necessarily realize that they are their own individual human outside of that. Like, that is just one small part of who they are. They, a full life is gonna, a lot of the resentment I think people feel is because they just completely lose themselves, as you said. So
Yes. But they don't recognize themselves. It's like
no.
I said during that podcast, I didn't like myself.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I know
Neither did
nobody
I.
else could like me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't either because I overgave and I overfunctioned and I didn't have boundaries, and I struggled to even do things for myself because I was so busy doing for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the shift, is stop doing so much for other people and start putting yourself first.
Yeah. And it's not selfish to put yourself first,
It's not. It's
only if
not.
it's to the detriment of somebody else. So, like, if I put myself first, like, oh, well, I've got plans, Jackson, I don't care that you're sick. You can stay home with
Yeah.
a babysitter. Or,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's different.
Yeah.
But I mean, as long as you're taking care of your responsibilities,
Yeah.
your responsibilities,
Not your
everybody else.
partners.
Yep.
Yep. Not
Yep.
your partners, not your children's. Yeah, your responsibilities.
Yeah.
But I see. Even when I was in that relationship, I wanted to take an hour to do yoga or something. My one, I would be interrupted by children, by my partner, by There's like, you couldn't even take time for yourself to do something for yourself without the people in your life imposing on you. And so, but I mean, that should never be a problem.
Yeah.
Taking care of yourself and your emotional and mental and spiritual well-being, like, that should be central to who I am as a person.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm. I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and the guy she's dating, she was going to go see him one day on her way to work or something. And she said, well, I don't know if I'm going to go. And I said, why? She said, because if I stay an hour, he's going to be like, oh, so you're only staying an hour?
Yeah.
I said, what if you stay 2? She said, it'd be, oh, you're only staying 2 hours?
Yeah.
I'm like, I wouldn't go.
No.
I
And I
wouldn't
would
go.
I would find a boyfriend that like got excited that I was coming for an hour.
Right.
Right?
Because he's guilting her
Yeah.
into staying longer,
Yep.
which is causing resentment.
Yeah. Well, and this goes back to what I said earlier about manipulation that we don't even realize exists, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is if he had a full life, he would be looking at it as like, oh my God, I get to see her for an hour. That's amazing. And then,
Right.
I've got other things to do because I've got a full life. So many people turn to relationships to fill their life because they don't have their own full life.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm going to tell her.
I like to think of it as like a pie. Like we have a pie and there's work and there's family and there's love and there's, hobbies and there's all these things that make up a human being and how we spend our time and organize our time. If we're not pouring equally into each one, there's going to
Right.
be some depletion somewhere. And from my experience, it always ends up being like I've always found relationship like slowly takes up the entire pie.
Yeah. And then, God forbid, you get divorced. Where are you?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because your
And that,
life,
and
your
so
whole
many,
life, your full life was this person.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've done that. It is never happening again.
Don't say never. Because then you're going to be on the podcast and go, guess what happened?
Yeah.
I said never, so it happened.
Yeah, it's a sad reality for a lot of people. But I mean, by talking about it and naming it, maybe people can recognize, oh, I'm feeling depleted. I'm feeling, resentful. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I haven't been pouring into myself. Maybe I need to start setting some boundaries and pouring into myself. And
Right.
it's through that work that you get to slowly start to take your energy back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it's a few minutes a day, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Just to feel like you
Something.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. To sit in the car, listen to your favorite song, just sing it at the top of your lungs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so important to have that time away. I
Hmm.
remember being in the dynamic and just everything was about that. And so
Everything.
everything was about that. And even wanting to do something with my own child without anybody else, right? That was an issue. You weren't allowed to do that either, right? So
Yeah.
I always encourage people, like, you should still have relationships with your children outside. You need to have a relationship with yourself outside of the dynamic, right?
Right.
That's only one small piece of
Well,
the
and it's
puzzle.
important for the child to have that alone time with the parent.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I do think it's also important to have a group thing
Yep.
every once in a while.
Yeah, and it's about balance, right?
Right. Yep.
It's about balance in every single area. If you're pouring all of your energy into one bucket,
Hmm.
one, you don't have anything left for yourself, but two, like, if that, like you said, if that bucket goes, then where are you left?
Yeah.
Depleted and depressed and don't know what to do with yourself.
Yeah. I've got a friend that her husband died a couple years ago, and she has been absolutely lost ever since
Hmm.
because he was her whole life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to the point that she has no desire to live.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they didn't have kids or anything, but still, a lot of people can say, oh, well, they had a great relationship. Well, they did.
Hmm.
But look where she is now.
Hmm.
It's,
Yeah.
it's important to hang on to that little sliver of pie that's you.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just not something that we're taught to do. It's not something that's I feel like maybe more now we're talking about it and how it's important, but even when I was in that relationship and I was trying to take time for myself, I'd be told I was selfish. I was selfish for wanting that 1 hour of yoga. I was selfish for wanting to go to the store and not take the kids. I was selfish,
Yeah.
for doing something for myself. Like, it's deeply ingrained in our society to put other people ahead of yourself.
Right.
And when you don't, you're selfish.
Yeah.
But it's just so ironic that I'm selfish, but you want me to put you first,
Right.
right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is you're selfish for wanting to go to the store by yourself when in reality they don't want to watch their kids.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with you being selfish.
It doesn't.
Yeah, you just made
It
them not
doesn't.
happy.
Exactly.
They don't like your choice.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what people say when they don't like your choices. Yeah.
Yeah, that you're selfish.
Getting, oh my goodness, being strong on boundaries is so important. Not allowing people's projections to waver your boundaries is so important.
Yeah.
Which ties right back to the guilt
That's what
and
I
the
was getting ready to say.
obligation.
Yep.
Guilt and obligation. Ooh, they're terrible.
They are. They
Yeah.
are. And it'll drive you crazy.
It will. It will. Yeah.
Yep. If you let it.
So getting solid on, again, getting really solid on what am I responsible for, full stop. That's it. This is my box of my responsibilities, and that is it, right?
Right.
And everything outside of the box is a choice. I'm going
Right.
to choose to do that. I'm not going to feel obligated. I'm not going to be guilted
Right.
into it. I'm going to choose to do that if I want, if I have the capacity, and that is it.
Right. And just for example, if it was something for the stepchild
Yeah.
and you don't get along with the stepchild, it's not for your stepchild, it's for your partner.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing it for them to help them.
Yeah.
You're not doing it for the kid.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I had a difficult, one of the stepchildren was difficult, but I never had a problem with him. Like, I saw that his difficulty was from the situation that he was in and two parents that were not able to like work together to resolve that poor child's emotional struggles. Right. Like I could never even have anger or resentment towards the child, because the child is just the product of, you know, his parenting. So, yeah, it's always, I feel like when I read people who struggle with the stepchildren, I just wish that a lot of people would step outside of themselves and look at something from another perspective.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. David is crawling behind the desk.
I thought that was like a cat or a dog or something.
Well, I saw him get on the floor and I'm like, what is he doing? And I saw him crawling behind me. We're getting ready to wrap up, so you can stay up here. Okay. Well, Jackie, thank you for being a guest.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been great.
I enjoyed it. This was a good conversation. I kind of bounced all over the place, but it was good.
Girl, you know me. If you've ever listened to a podcast, that's what I do.
Yeah,
I'll bounce the ball
yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, we will have to have you back again soon.
That'd be great. Maybe next time I will have a blend to talk about.
All right. Well, you let me know.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.